Why can somebody genuinely choose me if I feel like my father never chose me? Be there for everybody else while no one is ever there for me. I have to show them a way I've never seen, give them grace I've never gotten, be soft and open with a man that I've never seen. No one showed me or given me an opportunity to be soft, but a woman is expected to be soft and feminine and vulnerable and feel safe. But I've never felt safe, not emotionally.
Beauties and Gents. If you don't know, it's MoTV. Hey, Tierra, what it do? They see me, I can only be me. If I stay true to me, sit back and relax. Matter of fact.
Whew. Okay, I can do all things. Yep. All right. What else you do? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? I'm scared. This one's a bit. I usually don't talk about stuff that I'm currently like going through. I usually talk about it after I've gone through it, learned some stuff, and I feel like I can share some things on it. And I'm a crybaby, but I'm so the don't get it twisted. But I don't like talking about stuff with folks I don't know what I did before I figured it out. Just because that's vulnerable, people can make opinions. Not that I care necessarily what everybody thinks, but no one wants to hear things when they already feel things about themselves already. Even though there are people that are gonna agree or feel the things that I'm about to say or whatever. I didn't even talk about it in my cry. So today, I'm talking about the effects that having, what do they call it? She said emotionally unavailable parent/parent has had on me in my childhood to my adulthood, and it's still affecting me to this day. And I'm not alone. It's a lot of us. I'm just gonna start the conversation. I first want to start off by saying I have amazing parents. I'm grateful for both of them. They showed up for me in different ways, still to this day. And I'm not discrediting anything that anyone's parents has done for them just because of what had happened to them or around them or whatever in their upbringing. Because our parents can only do the best that they know. They can only teach us what they know. And they are the way that they are based on the parents that they had. And they probably went through the same emotional crap that we went through. They just never got the opportunity for them in an environment for them to explore it and heal themselves. So they had to raise children that had similar issues. They now live in a world that is talking about it. So I just first want to say I'm learning or I'm trying to work on showing grace and reminding myself that I did not have it bad. My parents were in my life, but they're both in my life. They, whew, I have the best father ever as far as just because of the woman that I am and the standards that I have and the morals that I have in myself and the way that I show up for myself just because of how I see myself. So I'm not discrediting anything because he put that there as far as like you are to be respected. You are to be loved. You're not just somebody that, for lack of a better term, just go fucks around and spreads their legs for anybody and is just being a hoe. And I'm not judging anybody either, but I'm just saying like he instilled certain things in me that I can't discredit. But at the same time, both of my parents struggled when I was a child, with their own emotions and how they dealt with themselves and how they dealt with me. And I'm the oldest of all of my siblings. So I got them at their younger stage. Their stage when they were still figuring things out of shifting from a child to an adult. So they weren't able to show up for me emotionally in the way that I needed. And when you're a child, we all have our different ways of developing our coping mechanisms. And for different sides of the family would show up. So like on my dad's side of the family, I was a way more I would put the mask on. I would show up, I would have the smile, be the pretty daughter that he said I was, and I wouldn't really try to bring my emotions to him because when I would show up emotionally to my dad, he was not really receptive as far as emotions. He was raised more. I don't really know exactly how he was raised as far as like his childhood per se from my grandfather, but my dad always says that men shouldn't be emotional. When I'm just talking about having an emotional awareness. So he didn't really show up in that term. He would always tell me, come on, man up, and you better than this. Wipe them tears. We don't cry around here. So I would always put on a strong face. That's how I would show up on my dad's side. On my mom's side, if I were to cry around her when I was younger, she would walk off on me, not like in a disrespectful, like forget what you said, but like I guess me crying used to make her uncomfortable, but she would literally walk away from me when I was crying. And it was she would walk away. I would just be left there with like, so I open up to you and I tell you how I feel, and you decide to leave me there with all that. Okay, you don't care. Okay, that's how I would internalize that when I was younger. So I would hold everything in on my mama's side. So I was never really able to, wow, never really talked about how my mom was affecting me. Oh. So on neither side, I was able to really like be me, who I would comfortably and naturally be. So I always grew up, I guess you could say in a way, pretending or acting, putting on and whatever face I had to put on to, I guess, feel accepted in the room, to feel like I was in the conversation, to actually feel like, okay, you see me here. And I guess that kind of turned into like people pleasing in a way. I struggle with like self image, self confidence, self worth, self doubt, questioning like, why can somebody genuinely choose me if I feel like my father never chose me? I hate to say something, but it was like his girl came first, and I get it, but it was like his girl came first for everything. It was how she felt about it. It was whatever made her happy, and I love that for her. But that to me is like, well, it just teaches you in a way when you're a girl and that's happening with your dad to you. It just makes you, it makes you feel like, well, no one is ever, I'm not going to ever be good enough for somebody to feel that way about me. Because my dad did do it because he's supposed to show me what it's supposed to feel like. You develop like other traits. I don't know all of them. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know all of the psychological things, but it does fascinate me. I'm very interested in that type of conversation. But we develop certain habits and behaviors based off the way we come up. and the things that we have to overcome or suppress, deal with, whatever you want to call it, in our childhood. And it affects us regardless of what people want to say. If you don't deal with something, it's going to reveal itself regardless over time. And I am starting to see things that I was not necessarily completely aware of in myself that is now coming out in my relationship. And I feel like those traits or habits just developed into my personality. And now the ways that I know or I knew how to deal with things are no longer serving me. And the Lord is telling me, like, if you don't stop doing what you are used to doing and what you usually do, I will not bless you with what you want. I will not bless you with the things that you're praying for, because you have to get rid of what's old. You have to shed, you have to discard, you have to like reset. You have to get rid of what is in the way and blocking for me to actually put it in your hand. But I don't know what that is. It like immediately. So I just feel like along this restoration journey that I keep talking about, I keep telling y'all I'm on a restoration journey, he told me, but I don't know what this one is entailing as far as what I have to do. But I just feel him pulling me into what I'm now learning is real vulnerability. But that's a whole other video. But I really feel him pulling me to be completely vulnerable. And that doesn't mean just expressing my opinions to y'all. But in me, and not like in a disrespectful way, but I don't know y'all as far as like the way I know my honey bunny that I'm about to say. But like there's a level of vulnerability that he's telling me I'm gonna have to have, that it's not that I don't know how to do in the sense of like just being it. It's being it when you feel triggered. It's being it when you feel upset, when you feel what people would call weak, but when I'm emotional, when I feel like you could use what I've told you against me, when you could show up in ways that other people have shown up for me in those ways. He's telling me you need to lean on me and be vulnerable and stop doing what you usually do, because that's not working for you. And you're doing that same habit when it comes to dance. You're doing that same habit when it comes to your parents. You're doing that same habit when it comes to money. You're doing that same, like I'm doing the same thing in every way of my life. So it's just like, I don't know what to do if I don't fix this. So let's get to the adolescent, to my adult years. So in my adult years now, with me having or growing up having emotionally unavailable parents, I've learned that I struggle with the feeling or the need to feel chosen. Needing to feel like I am a priority to you, not just an option, not just a choice, but somebody that you intentionally choose. Which kind of goes hand in hand with the feeling or needing to feel love and seen. That whole just enjoying the presence thing, whether that's in whatever way you need, for me does not satisfy me the same way it would someone else, because I need to feel like you see me. I need to feel like my presence is significant to you and it makes a difference in your day. Because what if it doesn't make a difference? Why am I here? Like I'm just that dramatic in my feeling to where I feel like that. um Self work and self doubt is definitely something that I'm currently still struggling with. It's not to where any and everybody can really mess with that. It's really myself. I am my worst critic. I talk to myself, not necessarily the best, but I'm constantly motivating and being there for everybody else and telling them not to talk to themselves that way. But I struggle with doing it for and to myself. So when I say all these things of self worth, self confidence, it has nothing to do with the outside world. It has nothing to do with comparison with anybody else. I've never really been one to compare on the outside looking in. It's who was I yesterday? How do I feel about myself looking in the mirror? That's always been my worst competition, because I am the meanest to myself. Because the voice that I have in my head and how I talk to myself is how I was talked to growing up. And that's not just my parents, that's also from like just family, period, just because it's all one seed if you want to be technical. But keeping it going. Something that I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at, but I can also ask anybody just to be sure. But I know when we first started dating, I really struggled with like over independence. I still do it sometimes. It's more psychological now, but like I struggle with asking for help. I struggle with um taking initiative of doing things myself when he was right there. So me opening my mouth and being like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" or "I need help." That was really hard for me at first. Not just because I couldn't ask for help. Like, oh, it makes me feel weak. No, I didn't give a damn about that. It was more like I didn't know how to ask for help. I feel like I am in the way of what you have going on if I ask you for help. I feel like I am a burden if I am asking you for help. I feel like you're gonna feel this way about me if I'm asking for help. That was the more perspective that I had when it came to over independence. And then also too, I saw my mom doing everything on her own and not asking or having anyone to ask. So I just got used to not asking anybody. So when it came to vocalizing how I feel, ooh. And something that I feel like is the biggest thing that I am currently aware of trying to work on is responding instead of reacting. So, you know how something can trigger you, whether that's the actual trigger, the person, the source of that pain, or just a habit or a situation that reminded you of it, you're triggered. And you have the opportunity in that moment to speak from what you've learned, tap into some of that wisdom, and try to implement some of those tactics to be better, or you can resort back to what you've always done and the emotions and how you feel. And that's usually how I am. So, say, for example, and I usually kind of see it in my relationship with my boyfriend, but sometimes it comes out in my friendships too. But, like, for example, if I feel a type of way about something and I express that to you, but you're not as receptive, not because you don't care, but you just didn't respond in the way that I wanted you to respond, I feel upset. And instead of vocalizing how I feel about that, I will react to that. So maybe I'll shut down. Maybe I'll get quiet. Maybe I'll get attitude and silently think to myself reasons that support why I'm upset and then make myself more upset just to make it make sense to myself. But then when I say it out loud, it's like, really, want it? Really? It is not to invalidate how I feel. It's just to be like, did you have to go that direction with it? You could have, my boyfriend felt like you could have just told me. You could have talked. You could have said something. So those are just some of the, I guess, habits and traits that I am noticing in myself, or has been pointed out to me that I am not happy about. But thinking about all this and saying it has shown me that I've made progress, because I don't really like to talk about like old situations. But there was a time in the past relationship where I was talking disrespectful, just reacting, like talking to you like the side of your neck. And I don't do that no more. But I'm also with a man, so I feel like I don't have to do that. Anyway, but yeah, I know I'm not the only person going through this as far as like just having this awareness of pain and not knowing what to do or how to maneuver in it. And I personally don't know what this video was going to do or be, but I just felt the need to start the conversation. I felt the need to be the one to put myself out on blast like I always do and just make people feel comfortable enough to respond and say something about it. Because I think sometimes this world is so used to being on hush, and the world is always telling us to be unbothered and not really be phased by things, that we suppress everything. But I think that's what's wrong with the world. Everybody's broken and they're brokenhearted and they're just bleeding on everybody. So that's me doing my part and trying to help that. If you can relate in any way or you just want to tell any of your story, tell it in the comments down below. Let the neighborhood know. And we're gonna keep it going with this restoration journey. This is a very emotional video, but I'm glad I got through it, even though it took 2 days. Let's thank Honey Bunny because he was my amazing production for all of this. He put a lot of effort and work into making it look good. So yeah, better thank him. Yeah, I think that's it.
Go ahead and like it up and subscribe.
The scary part is uploading it.